One, and we're live. I'm Pio. This is Nifty Culture. And this morning, I have the pleasure of speaking with one of the Mad Pups, a very dope NFT collective, Mr. Sven. How's it going, Sven?
It's going pretty well, Pio. How are you?
I'm good. I always enjoy our conversations. It's been too long since we had one. I think you and me both realize that it's been a really long time since we had you on the show just to kind of talk shop. A lot has happened, for both of us since the last time that we spoke. To give people some context, you're an NFT collector. You're now also an NFT creator. If you check out the NOOBS project, you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about. And we're definitely going to talk about that. So yeah, why don't we talk a little bit about NOOBS? We could talk about the NFT market in general. And yeah, I'm just really excited to hear your thoughts on what's going on right now.
No, I'm excited to be here. I think we spoke the last time we did like a one-on-one like this was it wasn't start of the summer. It was around July 4th, and that was approximately 72 NFT years ago.
I was gonna say it feels like so long ago, man. That's
a lot's happened since then. But even what was it, 10 days ago that I joined the Derpy Burbs on stream for a little while, and in that time I think we dropped PFPs. We went just to text NFTs, and look at this. Both of us now have we're part of successful projects that you guys sold out. Congratulations to the whole NFT culture team. We're on our way over at NOOBS, but a lot has certainly changed, and there's definitely a lot to talk about. Certainly starting with some of our projects.
Absolutely. So I'm going to pull up NOOBS right now. Can you talk a little bit about the inspiration for NOOBS, how the idea came about, and what the project is looking to focus on in the NFT space?
Yeah. So there's a really good story, I think, to NOOBS. It's a 10K generative avatar collectible project. Oh my! But there's more to it. And I want to kind of take people through the genesis of how NOOBS came to be. A lot of people know that I've been collecting for eons, all the way back to January. And people think, oh my God, you've been here forever. I haven't. I've been here a little bit longer than most people, not as long as some others. But I've picked up, I think, a significant amount of knowledge of the NFT space, through collecting. Through just sheer luck, having timed it right and having lasted through what had been a more difficult period in the early part of the spring. I first spoke to the devs that we worked with. It's an awesome group of guys. I met them through the Nifty Gateway community. I first spoke with them back in April. We had some ideas that we wanted to work on together. They had put out a project, Crypto Candies, for those that remember. Really cool, fun little project that they developed, but it came out bad timing, didn't take off, and so we workshopped some other ideas, but just none of them really clicked for us. At the same time, our artist, the Big Mike, he actually reached out to me, it was late April or early May. He had seen me. I was one of like 3 people in a random project Discord, and he asked if I was the founder and if I could give some advice. I said, well, I'm not the founder, but happy to give you some advice. And so he had an older collection, called Michael Ike that, he just wanted some pointers on for how to structure it, how to market it, and we got to talking. The art was really cool. If you see NOOBS, you would have appreciated that older, more limited collection. And so, that's how relationships got built, right? These are now, relationships that have built over several months. And I kept pushing Mike, hey, look, the space is moving in this direction with generative collectibles. You definitely have the art, as you can clearly see on screen here, to put something like this together. So I ended up bringing together Mike and our group of devs to work on this project. And we talked about a couple different ideas, but ultimately felt that, his art style, felt it had this, infectious, youthful appearance. It was, very accessible in a way that, we think NOOBS as a brand reflects. But also, what does it reflect? It reflects my development as a collector, and this idea that I felt, which is how do we bring people alongside with us, right? How do we help people become true collectors in the NFT space, go from being noobs to being, OG, for lack of a better term. So, we built the project, and we actually launched. Now it's a week and a half ago, but we launched without really doing much marketing, right? And a couple of reasons for that. We knew we were gearing a project towards noobs. We knew that we were going to have a lot of support from friends in the in the space, and a lot of those friends came out to support us. And we thought, well, if we go out and start marketing the project aggressively, what's going to happen? We're going to get a lot of attention from more experienced collectors. We'll have a gas war. No noobs are going to be able to really access our project. And so, it was a tough decision for us because, obviously every project wants to sell out. It helps unlock a lot of what you have planned, down the road. But, we said, look, we waited till we had all the art and all the tech really ready to go until we opened the Discord. And we said, let's just launch it. We think we have a good project here. We believe in what we're doing. And let's not even tell people too much more about what we want to do down the road. Let's just see the reception. Because if people buy into this project on low hype, they'll be really happy with the project as we unveil more and more of what we plan to do. So we did that. We sold about a third of the project the first maybe 36 hours, which was great. And we've had steady growth ever since. But certainly, and we'll talk about this in a bit. Gas prices where they are, so much craziness in the market. I think it's worked against us, but we've continued to build a very strong community for those that spent time in our Discord. It truly has become a community of helping educate noobs, and we've brought on a lot of those. We're up to about almost 800 unique holders, a lot of whom are first-time buyers or early buyers in the space, and we have some more experienced buyers who pop in as well, experienced collectors who are helping to share knowledge with them alongside our team. So, got some really exciting stuff that we want to do. Already our first initiative, the Noob Boosters, which we should talk about. I think it's really important. We've already onboarded a bunch of collectors through that. So, we're happy. People seem to like the art. People seem to like the community, and we're very confident in the direction that we're heading. But that's the story on Noobs.
I think it's a really cool story, and I think, you and I started in the space at just around the same time. We both got onboarded by Nifty Gateway. I think the big sell that Nifty Gateway had at the time is that you didn't have to be crypto native. You could actually buy pieces with a credit card, which was at the time, I think, the only kind of mainstream platform where you were able to do that. They also had the pieces priced in US dollars, so you could buy at one US dollar price and sell at another US dollar price. So it was very easily digestible. It was still an NFT. It was a very smooth way to get onboarded into the space. And I appreciate what you guys are doing with Noobs, having it, basically focused on the same idea to kind of share that experience that you had with Nifty Gateway with people that are getting into the space, but doing it in a more crypto native way where they are going to buy this with ETH. It's going to be on OpenSea. It is a 10K generative PFP project. So there's a lot going on there that people will be able to find accessible and will properly on-ramp them into the space, because there's a lot of those details, those factors that are universal in the space at this point. So can you talk a little bit about Noobs, like what the kind of, everyone uses this term roadmap would be. You guys are well on your way to a sellout, and like you said, it's not like you've been pushing it because you wanted people that are new to the space to get access to it. So can you talk about the plans for Noobs, as you guys move towards that sellout and then post sellout?
Yeah. So first of all, this was something that was a little bit controversial. We didn't publish a roadmap in advance. As you know, Pio, I tend to think that traditional roadmaps are kind of bullshit.
They are,
especially based on percent sold, right? We're gonna build the same project out regardless of whether or not we sell out. So first thing we want out the window is we're not talking about what percent sold activates what next phase of the project. But we did decide that it was important to not talk too much about kind of phase 2 of the project early on, because that would raise expectations. And so our decision was, look, let's make it about the art. If anyone bought a noob for 0.04 ETH because they just thought it was cool art and had no expectations, then there would really be little room for FUD down the road. Now, of course, people still buy because they see other people buying, and so that's why night one some momentum picked up, and so, certainly some of those buyers have been disappointed, and that's fine. We've certainly seen some secondary activity, despite the fact that we're not sold out, which is always, I think, a really positive sign that people are buying stuff they want to on the secondary. Including, we had I think a 3 sale was our high sale. So there are people out there that are happy to take noobs off hands of those that were disappointed in the lack of a roadmap. But what we did release was our thought process. We talked about this at length before the drop to anyone that was asking in our Discord, and we released a pretty lengthy update right after the drop. And then we said, look, we hear you. We won't release a traditional roadmap still, but we put out a mission statement, which is actually on the website. If you go there, which kind of speaks at length to, again, our thought process around this. But then, what is the second phase of our project going to look like? And so we talk a lot about in our mission statement, how do we bring people alongside us, right? How do we help noobs first get into the project? That's kind of, you can use the avatar to get into the project, get into the space. But then how do we help noobs, true noobs, first-time buyers, grow from being a collector of a 10K avatar project to really being, Pio, you mentioned it was great using Nifty Gateway to help onboard us, using credit card for people that aren't crypto native. Well, now for people that aren't NFT native, because there are actually a lot of crypto native people who are using noobs as their first time entry to the NFT space. How do we help them grow and access other parts of the market? How do we help even people that have been in the market for a while, but probably saw maybe Bored Apes and said, I want another avatar, and they just have moved from avatar project to avatar project and haven't tested out digital art? Or people that have done even a lot of digital art, but don't have a clue about gaming, which I really personally believe is the big phase that we have coming up next in the NFT market, right? Gaming, I think, will just explode. How do we help everybody, whether you're a noob or someone that's been around for a while, start to explore the rest of the space? And so we want to use this as more of a utility token in a way than just an avatar, but we sold it as just an avatar. And so, our hope is, the first thing we're going to do is start exposing people to digital art, for instance. We have a lot of very strong artists who've bought into our project, and some of which are become good friends of mine. I've talked to some of them about this, where we want to be able to put out some noob exclusive pieces, right? So this is a community that doesn't have much knowledge at all about the digital art market. We can expose them to some leading digital artists. We can also help members of the community, right, who are digital artists, but haven't had that success yet. How do they level up, right? It's not just how do you help collectors level up? How do you help artists level up? How do you help other creators or developers who have ideas but don't know what direction to really take them in? How do you help them level up? We had a team of developers, an artist, and myself who were kind of in that same seat, 4, 5, 6 months ago. And then we got to the point where we could release a project. So, we kind of want to serve a bit as an accelerator in a way, where we can help, all members of our community grow, which I think will be really exciting. The first thing we've done, though, is our Noob Boosters program. So Noob Boosters is an idea that we had, going to the project, which was, and we weren't sure if we'd unveil it this early, but we felt, it was appropriate given more of an emphasis on releasing your roadmap. So, okay, well, let's talk about Noob Boosters then, a bit maybe sooner than we anticipated, which is a program designed to help members of our community onboard their friends and family, right? We are basically taking nominations from verified holders of noobs to give a free noob to a coworker, a brother, a sister, a parent, a kid, a high school friend, someone that they met on the street. Doesn't matter. It's someone they have an in real life connection to. that they are going to have to go out and help that person set up a MetaMask wallet and figure out how to, get into our Discord. And we are doing our best to verify nobody's gaming this. And if they go through those steps, they're telling us a bit about themselves and the person they're nominating, we will send the noob. And so we've sent out 34 to date. I checked, last night, we have another 15 nominations in there. So this is less than 40, just about 48 hours old, actually, as an initiative. And we are going to have 50 new collectors in the space just from that. Now, I've seen a lot of people post on Twitter before about, oh, I'm going to get my, my parents or my kids an NFT for the holidays, right? And I'm going to finally get them to set up a MetaMask wallet. Well, what I would say to them is, what are you waiting for? Everyone says that we're really early, so help them be early, and that's what we're doing. And I would challenge any collector in the space, if you haven't helped someone set up a MetaMask wallet yet and onboard them into NFTs, what are you doing? You should be doing this. If you're a good friend, if you love your family, you should be doing this. And I would challenge every other 10K project out there to do the same thing we're doing, right? Give some of this to people that don't have the ability to access it. All right. We saw a drop yesterday that, look, someone way smarter than me figured out how to game and get it. And I saw that they're giving half of them back, which is, really nice to do. Maybe take some of those 500 that are being given back and give them to people that don't have a clue of how to access a drop like that or participate in a gas war. People say all the right things. There's so much positivity in the space, but I don't see enough people going out of their way to help others join the space. So my view is we're only early if we actually help all these other people come into the NFT space. I think I saw someone talk about this goal of getting 100, I think it was 6529, talk about a goal of getting 100 million people into the NFT space. Well, if everyone in this space starts by inviting one person in from their life, it gets a lot easier. And so this, if we succeed in nothing else with this project, and I fully believe that we will, but if we succeed in nothing else, I will consider this project a success purely because of new boosters. And it's not even just the program. I mean, I personally helped a dozen people in my life that I just gave noobs to from my own personal collection. I know some of our other team members and friends have done this as well and even some friends who I didn't even tell about the program, just off the bat, they said, noobs, like the idea, this will be an easy first NFT for someone in my life. And so, when I say we have almost 800 unique holders, now think about how many of those are first-time collectors. I know I didn't sell my first NFT. I still have my first NFT. Even if it went for many thousands of dollars at one point, I'm never selling it just because it means something to me. So we're not just like this is a public service we're doing, but it has an additional benefit to the community, which is we're building a really, really strong collector base through this initiative. So I'm beyond proud of this.
It's such a cool initiative, man. And, now that we've launched a project too, I'm starting to reframe the way I think about things, because I'm seeing it from, the creator side. And the fact that, even one more unique holder is a really big deal for a project. And the fact that you guys are really staying true to the theme of the project, the noob theme of onboarding brand new people that don't have any NFTs, and this noob is their first NFT. I totally agree with you. I think it'll hold a special place for them. And just the fact that you've onboarded as many people in 48 hours with this new initiative as you have is just so beyond impressive. So kudos to you on that for really fulfilling the mission of noobs, and I'm excited to see it continue.
No, thanks. Look, it's important. You guys do a lot of work too. I mean, the NFT culture, I direct people to different resources. You guys do a lot to help people get comfortable in the space too. And I think it's important that all projects that have this type of mouthpiece do this. And so I don't have a ton of influence, but I have just enough to help. So I'm gonna do my part. And I'm going to do my part to also build value for the community, which I think by bringing people in builds a lot of value. And when we do the same thing for creators within our community, I think it unlocks just as much value. And what we will do through this accelerator initiative that we have is make sure that it always contributes back to the noobs community. So again, we're going to take care of the noobs. We're going to take care of the growing community that we have, but we'll do it in a way that also helps others, really grow and accomplish what their dreams might be. So, a lot of stuff to be excited about, and hopefully next time I'm on here, we'll have a couple hundred new boosters. It's really cool to see, and this is why it's not just enough. I mean, obviously you want to verify that they are who they are, and I trust our community. I know trust is a weird word in the space, but I'm getting them on Discord too. I'm making people just tell a little bit about themselves, bring them into the community. It's not just enough to set up a wallet for somebody, drop an NFT in there, and then they're kind of out, in the middle of the metaverse, unsure of where to go. Come into the community, learn from people, connect with people. NFTs are really about connections a lot of the time. And so I think it's been really important to bring people in. I mean, you see this in the NFT culture Discord, right? When you bring people in there and help them connect with one another, it kind of takes on a life of its own, right? So this is just one initiative, more to come, but something we're really excited about.
Yeah, man. What you said is so true. It's really fascinating because we had been building the Discord obviously for a number of months ahead of the drop. And I think we had like maybe 2,200 going into the drop, people in the Discord. And we actually saw a big spike the week before the drop too. So like spiked from maybe 1,800 to 2,200. Then we did the drop, and the drop has brought in a ton of new people. So we've seen a bunch of new growth since then. And we've also seen like this ownership of the people in the Discord, that where they're like kind of treating the Discord. The Discord is bigger than us now, and the token is bigger than us too. People are speculating on the token, and people are talking to each other about the token. Someone asks a question about the token and someone else answers it. That's not, me or any of my partners. And it's really interesting to see something that you created kind of take on a life of its own and get legs. And I definitely didn't go into it expecting that to happen at all. So I'm sure you're seeing the same thing with Noobs. You're going to continue to see it, especially if you're onboarding these people. They're going to have such loyalty to the project. And once they're like, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks in NFTs, let's say they speculate on something else and they end up making a flip that earns them 0.2 ETH or something, which is a bigger flip than they've experienced before. I wouldn't be surprised if they rotate some of that money back into Noobs, especially if at that point, realistically, Noobs will be post sellout. Noobs will be appreciating on the secondary market. They'll have this soft spot for Noobs. They'll want to speculate on it too. So it's like this really great combination. So I think that strategy that you guys are implementing is very, very cool and smart. And yeah, I mean, it's just a wild thing to see these projects, gain traction and get their own legs.
Look, I don't want to be self-serving here, but I think, so let's talk about you guys a little bit, because it illustrates something I think is really important, right? We did this with Noobs. We're trying to build an organic community. I think we're succeeding so far. You guys launched on the strength of a brand that, has really put in the work over many, many months. And so you built up that same trust. And, you bring up this point about, ownership, right? People in the community start to feel ownership. Well, that's part of the idea of NFTs, right? You are taking verified ownership of something here. And so the community should take ownership. It's great seeing, members of the Noobs community really embrace that responsibility. It's great seeing members of the NFT culture community kind of take on that mantle. I actually, we should tell Mal that he's got to change his name, because he's no longer NFT culture, right? NFT culture is the community. I'm kidding, of course. He can keep the name, but it's outgrown what you guys started, which is so awesome to see. Really happy for you guys. Really proud of the work that you put in. I know, and having seen the development process play out as we've talked, it's really awesome to see this kind of success for you guys. But what I love about what you guys did, same thing that we did. You didn't go out there and hire some paid promoters to pump the project, right? One thing that I actually talked about this, and I think it's important to kind of knowledge share with people. So I put out some of my early experiences as a creator. And I'm not a creator like some of these incredible artists are out in space, but as a creator, someone who helped put out a project. What I've seen from the other side, and the most enlightening thing I've seen is there's a lot of grift in the community. I knew that there was, paid promotion going on. I knew that there were, kind of fake, there's fake demand out there that people try to, trick people into FOMOing into a drop that doesn't really have organic support. And look, sometimes it works. I think there was one time where Cole got called out for it, with one of the projects that he had pumped. And so we all know there's pump and dump schemes in the space. What I didn't realize was as soon as you put yourself out there, the offers just come to you. And so I have DM after DM of people saying, I can do this for your project, or I can get it into this market, or if you just pay me $200, I'll tweet about it. Sometimes you say, I always politely decline because there's no harm in being polite even to a bot. Sometimes I say no, and then come back and say, great, here's my wallet, you can send the money. And I'm like, your bot's a little bit off, bro. And it comes from people with hundreds of thousands or even a couple million followers. And I mean, let's be real, those are not real followers, but they're tricking people in the space. And so, first off, we got to get that out of here. I mean, the fact that there are, ad hashtags next to some of these is shameful, because there are a lot of noobs or less experienced collectors who are getting tricked by a lot of the stuff. And it's really bad, but we didn't do that. It probably hurt us a little bit in the momentum of the sales, because if we paid promoters to shill this, we would have gotten a lot of people that are just in for a quick flip. What those people do when they come in, they're not there for the long term. They're not there to build a community. So we stay away from it. And I think long term we're better off for it. You guys, you didn't do that either. You sold out, and because of that, your community is a community of people that want to be there, right? That want to take ownership. So, I just think that as we move towards, the latter stages of this, PFP market and head towards the next phase of the NFT market, building real communities will be a lot more valuable than building quick pump and dump communities.
100%, and yeah, I mean, I'm really happy that we didn't have to pay anybody to sell the thing out too. You have no idea how happy I am about that. And what you said is very true about like what goes on in the space with pump and dumps and almost like nefarious promotion. And I think that when you sort of think about it, you have a totally new, totally unregulated market, completely unregulated. There's really no consequences for anybody that's scamming right now. And quite frankly, it's probably going to be pretty untraceable if they're even a little bit savvy, right? And then you're also waving around just so much money. Like, how much money is flying around in this space? Mm-hmm. It is insane. You see projects that flop, but they have like 6 ETH buys or 5 ETH buys. Like, someone threw that much money at one of these projects in speculation and they end up flopping. And I'm assuming if that person threw that much at just one NFT speculatively, they're totally fine. They're ready to do it again. Those could have been NFT gains in the first place. So I think it's only natural that there is that level of like, scamming / pump and dump / market manipulation. But obviously we have to get it out of there. But the only way to get it out of there is to stop rewarding stuff like that. So when I think of, say, like Fame Lady Squad, the whole project was predicated on the fact that it was an all-female team. And then what a surprise, it wasn't. But the big clue there was that it was an Anon team. And I'm not saying that Anon teams are bad. I mean, Bored Ape Yacht Club is basically an Anon team, but it's like, if the whole project is predicated on the gender or who the team is, and you're going to say, yeah, but we're Anon, that's going to be kind of a tough pill for me to swallow, So the market just needs to stop responding positively to these BS situations. And then at that point, that's when I think any changes will be made. But until then, people are going to keep, catching these $1 million bags off of scams. It's not that hard to sell out a 10,000 piece profile picture project, especially if you pay someone, as long as you have kind of like some fundamental things in place. And once you figure out what those fundamental things are, you can just sell out project after project and just really do anonymous rug pull after anonymous rug pull. And if you cover your tracks a little bit, you'll get away with it. And that's like a lot of free money to wave in front of scammers' faces that they're going to take advantage of.
Yeah, look, in any industry, as you know, when there's a lot of money at play, scam artists will come out of the woodwork to get a piece of it. And especially an emerging industry like this. To your point about people that do not like. I'm not saying that everyone has to come out and get on camera. I get that's not for everybody. I get people have reasons for remaining anonymous, but also you don't have to support them if you don't have another way to trust them, right? So there are anonymous people in the space who have built up a significant amount of trust, and I am perfectly comfortable supporting them if they release a project, or just following them when they suggest to me to do something. I don't need to see your face to trust you, but I need to trust you. And so I think that, the whole NFT space needs to get a lot smarter about who they should be listening to. And it starts with not listening to, projects that come out of nowhere with a team that nobody knows, but, oh, it's got some cool art and a lot of people are talking about it. Well, if you don't know the people, if you don't trust the people that developed it, and you don't know or trust the people that are talking about it, it's just an echo chamber. And all of a sudden, they got one of your friends, right, who's like, oh, this is cool. I heard about this. Where'd you hear about it? I don't know. I heard about it on Twitter. Well, I saw it on Twitter too. Must be something good. It doesn't have to be something good. It could just be something that you both heard enough times, and now suddenly you're talking yourselves into it. So I think we just got to get smarter as a community. Look, I'm very comfortable, as getting on here with you. Maybe it's because I'm not, I wasn't crypto native, and so I didn't come in. I think a lot of crypto native people have this mindset of remaining anonymous, and I get that, I respect that, but as I said before, if I'm going to come out and ask people to trust me, to kind of lead a project like this, okay, see me, hear what I'm about. By the way, I'm as transparent on camera as I am off camera, and when I'm typing in Discord. I think it is something that helps the community grow a lot. And so, to trust and know their founders. And look, I trust, you mentioned the Bored Ape Yacht Club. I've talked to some of those guys, in Discord. I trust them. I trust them because of their proven track record now. I don't ever need to see them. I don't need to see them on camera. I don't need to see them on Twitter. I saw someone ask, oh, like the Bored Ape Yacht Club, it's kind of weird that they don't tweet. They don't have a social media presence. It's like, oh, they've only created, millions of dollars of value for their entire community. Who gives a shit? Sorry, YouTube. But who cares if they're on Twitter? It doesn't matter. They've proven themselves. And so it's not to say that someone who's proven themselves can't end up doing something, that works against the community. But, start there. Start with people that have proven themselves. I hope I've proven myself to people in the space. If not, I got to work harder to keep doing that. And don't just trust people for the sake of, oh, new project looks cool, I'm going to trust they're going to do something. Why should you trust them? You should ask yourself that. Whether you're a noob or someone that's been around for a while, always ask yourself that. Like, who am I putting my faith in this project? So.
Very good advice, Sven. Very good advice. And we've had some interesting projects come out in the past couple of weeks. This is one that we kind of alluded to in this chat already, the Sevens. What are your thoughts on what went down here? This one was pretty gnarly, and my stomach was turning going into it because I was like, am I about to try to mint this? Because there's like 42,000 people on the Twitter, and like I don't even know how many thousand people in the Discord. This is like the most hyped up drop in a while. There's only 7,000 mints. Anyone that got in on the pre-sale, basically like 100x their money if they wanted to sell. There was a lot going on with this. And then obviously the big controversy on the guy that sniped one set of them. Before you start, I saw a joke on Twitter where someone said, or maybe it was on Discord, someone said they called it the Sevens because only 7 people were able to mint them or something like that. So I got a big kick out of that. But yeah, what do you make of this one?
NFT humor, it always gets you. Look, I remember hearing about this drop, a while ago, and it was hyped then, and I kept an eye on it. To be candid, ever since we launched NOOBS, I have not been as good at staying on top of drops. I think I've done 2 of them. Partly because I've made sure to remain focused on our project. It's not that I won't participate in more drops. I will, but it's challenging to do, as you know, when you have to manage a project. Look, this is why you don't spend weeks hyping a drop. Why do you hype a drop except to force a sellout? And once you overhype a drop, you're just wasting a ton of your community's very precious ETH on gas, right? So gas yesterday, I mean, I think it spiked higher, but it was at least 7,000, you know, for the entire, I mean, it was insane. And you got people that are like, I'm trying to mint, but it says it's 0.08 per mint, but I'm paying 1.5 ETH in gas. Well, this is, I mean, you know what? Price your drop then at 1.5 ETH, and at least you guys take the money. And if you're a good team, I'd rather you spend it back into the community. So I don't understand, you know, when you have a community that you're trying to get excited, you're doing them a disservice by building up that much hype. So I think that was the first warning signal. Now, what happened? You know, I saw some people smarter than me kind of break this down. And if anyone wants to read through the threads, DM me after. I'll send you what I've seen. Basically, you know, a very, very capable individual wrote their own smart contract to call the Sven smart contract, right? And in doing so, they were able to essentially front run the entire drop. They were able to batch mint, even though it's supposed to be max 1, or after I think it was 7 minutes, you could do 7 at a time. Batch mint these at a much lower average cost, right? So look, fair is fair. It actually wasn't. It wasn't a mistake that the it wasn't a mistake that the Sevens team made necessarily. It was a loophole in their contract that got exploited. And so to the extent that a loophole is a mistake, yeah, they made a mistake because they created a situation that would permit this. But even if this hadn't happened, gas was still going to be way too high for this drop. And a lot of people, you know, were going to end up paying more in gas than they should have. Now, the floors held up okay. People still seem to like it. It doesn't necessarily kill the project. And let's get away from this idea that like, oh, you know, the project's over, because a lot of people, you know, were really excited about it, did put a lot of their ETH into the overall cost of getting access here. And I hope it works out for them. But, you know, it is not, it's not a good thing. Nobody should be happy about this. Ignoring one person getting a seventh of the drop, and ignoring what they've said they're going to do about giving back. You know, the Sevens try to put a limit function in, but you could batch mint it and overcome that, right? Like, okay, let's hope that, you know, any project coming after this starts to figure out a way to, you know, overcome that, and prevent this from happening again. Because they also, I think, you know, used, they were to bribe miners, right, to you know, mint these tokens in batches for them at lower cost. It's not the first time we've seen that, right? We saw that with the CryptoPunk sweep, where someone took out, what was it, like 80 at once, so that nobody else
in one block
could front run them. There's some really smart people out there that are, you know, going to be able to, you know, take advantage of the rest of us. And so, you know, it's, if you're releasing a project, you know, you should do your part to protect your community. It's not the only drop like this. We've seen others, right, where gas has spiked to astronomical levels. And it's kind of silly. There's not a great solution. I mean, people have talked about alternatives, you know, taking you off mainnet to do some of this stuff. Nobody's really excited about that. But what is clear is that nobody's happy about where gas has been, you know, over the past week. And that is just where gas has been when there isn't a hype drop. I mean, I think it barely dipped below, you know, 100 most of the week. You know, if you have a hype drop and it's getting these levels, at some point, this whole process is not sustainable for the majority of us, unless you bring in a ton of people with more money to keep offloading those bags to, right? At some point, the system kind of breaks. So we have to bring costs down. I'm not the person to propose a solution for how to do it. I just know hyping something to the extent that some of these projects are hyping is not the way to do it. And there's some very hype projects coming up that I'm personally excited about, that, you know, look, it's going to be a bloodbath, unfortunately. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens with the sevens. We'll see what happens with some of those other projects. But people have to get a lot smarter, and they have to get smarter fast.
And I don't have the solution either. I think that obviously from a technology perspective, layers will either be built on Ethereum or on another chain. A lot of people are talking about Solana right now. People are talking about Cardano. Who knows what the technology-based solution is? I think that we'll all look back in 5 years and be like, do you remember those ridiculous gas fees and the way the whole gas system worked and how annoying it was and this, that, and the other thing? There's no way that it's sustainably going to operate like this. Having said that, I don't have the solution. And once gas isn't a thing anymore, how is a popular drop going to work? I mean, are people going to program bots just like a sneaker drop? Like, how are people going to get their hands on the highly in demand NFTs, the hyped up drops?
Well, they're already programming drops, right? They're already programming bots for these drops. So it's happening. Look, people are going to figure out ways to do it. There are ways to reward collectors. Yes, there's ways you can pre-mint or limit wallet holdings, but people make more wallets to pre-mint more across. I mean, it's not hard to know what you're doing to make 100 wallets. It just isn't. Yeah. I have a hard time managing a couple, but when you have 100, if you're smart, it really isn't that hard. I think that we have a lot of inefficient pricing out there that gets taken advantage of. I think people get smarter about that. And I think that, communities, that are stronger, like there've been a couple drops that are really like derivative drops that tried to reward, for instance, the apes community. But only apes can mint it. And so if you structure it correctly, like, why wouldn't I open up a drop and say, I just want to target the best communities out there for the bulk of this, and maybe I'll save 10%. I'm going to just give those away to new people. I'm gonna advise the people mimic new boosters again, right? Well, all of a sudden I formed a tremendous community because I trust the collector base in some of the more successful projects more than I trust the typical flipper community that comes into some of the newer ones. And you still got to do it the right way. I mean, look, the Gutter Cats, they did their next drop or their latest drop this past weekend. It didn't go so well, right? People took advantage again and mass minted, before the community could really access it. That's unfortunate. It would upset a lot of people, but by and large, if I look at the original Gutter Cat group, it's a better base of collectors than a lot of the new projects. So I think kind of focusing on some of that is good. We're gonna do that with NOOBS. We're gonna help some of these projects that want to come to market say, look, we can let some noobs get access to it early. There won't be a gas war on that. We'll not have people minting, a fifth, a tenth, a seventh, whatever you want to call it, of the project. We'll build a stronger base, and that'll help all of us moving forward. But people much smarter than both of us combined are going to figure this out.
I hope so, man. I hope so. And, we were talking about the sevens. I think that the sevens is realistically, this drop was like botched / it was just a complete debacle. So I do think the degree to which this drop was a debacle will have an impact on the legacy. Cause like, if I think about Vogu, like Vogu had a botched drop, but it was like kind of totally resolved within 24 hours. It wasn't as bad as this, and Vogu still was able to recover in the short term. Right now, it's kind of quieted down a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit of a resurgence. People seem to really identify with the artwork style there, and they enjoyed that project in general. This one, I thought, had a lot of potential because we haven't seen that many anime-based PFP projects. Obviously, Oni was the first one, and Oni's hype was absolutely electric. This was supposed to be the next one, right? And this was like the most hyped up thing since Oni, and obviously this happened. So we'll see what comes of this. But I do still think that anime-based PFP projects haven't had a proper run, and they'll also probably onboard new people, and they're due to have an explosion. There's a few different areas. You mentioned gaming. I definitely think gaming is due for an explosion. I think music is due for an explosion. We're going to have Spotty Wi-Fi on the show later today, so I'm really excited to talk to him, and his project's actually been performing pretty well on the secondary market over the past week. Trey Songz, big-time mainstream musician, actually retweeted retweeted the project last night. So there could be a lot going on there. I want to talk to you about a trend that we're seeing that makes me feel like I'm a dinosaur in the space, because I just really wrap my head around it. And I think you know what I'm about to bring up.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the trend that was started by Loot for Adventurers. And let's see what the floor is sitting at 9 ETH more or less right now. This is absolutely gnarly to me. I mean, this caught the attention of Vitalik Buterin, the co-founder of Ethereum. You know, what do you make of this? Are you engaging in this? Do you see yourself ever buying any of these projects? What are your thoughts on Loot?
Well, I think that Loot is interesting. I think that the basic concept is interesting. But I think what we've seen, kind of spring up in the past, it's just been a week and people are like, oh my God, we figured out NFTs. This is the future. I think a lot of that is, bring on that pump and dump, unfortunately. And I'm not one to name names, but some very prominent figures in the space have pushed certain Loot derivative projects to, unsustainable levels, to really drum up hype there. That is not a good thing. But the basic underlying principle of using, these generative, pieces to build upon, to do community-based building is really intriguing. I think that there's a lot that some people will do here in a creative way. I don't know what the ultimate end game is, because community-based building is really cool, but it's very hard, especially like when it comes to gaming. It's very challenging to actually build something more practical, right? Like this is much more theoretical right now. And so how do you actually turn theoretical into something functional? We'll see. Like I do think it's cool. And I'm not someone that is at all anti-Loot. But I'm also not going to speculate on it, because look, the time to get in was before it ran up to it. I think it was like a 15 ETH floor at one point. And like I wish I participated. I would have participated if if I hadn't been so focused on NOOBS and I was in some of their discourse I'm usually in. I saw a lot of my friends, and very happy for them, do extremely well on these projects. Some of whom took that profit and turned it into a lot of pages for POC. I mean, good on them, yeah. Right? And that's a project that we should probably talk more about, because I don't think you should be doubting POC. But back to Loot for a second and all the other derivatives. There will be some ones that come out of this that I think sustain. I don't want to predict which ones will, because candidly, I'm not as entrenched in the Loot space. But I am certain that all these projects will not pop indefinitely. Some of these will fail. Some of these are a bit of a pump and dump, and people have to be careful. Like there's not artistic value in every single Loot derivative piece. There just isn't. So I guess all the people that were, it's about the art, and now they're pumping Loot. I guess it wasn't about the art. It was about the profit, which is okay. Nothing wrong with profit. Now let's wait and see who can actually build effectively on this. I've seen, there have been some cool ones. I know a lot of people that I respect are talking about the End project, which is similar. Let's wait and see. Let's not overhype everything, but let's wait and see which ones of these are here in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. That'd maybe be a bit more appropriate than proclaiming this the future. Within a few days.
Exactly. And I also want to make it clear, I've been very careful when I talk about Loot and Loot derivatives, that I don't want to come off like a hater. I don't want to get canceled by the NFT community because people like it's so innovative and everything like that. I'm just the bonehead that didn't buy it, can't understand it, and this, that, and the other thing. So just wanted to point that out first. Let's talk about Pages by Pack, because I did buy into that. So I'm definitely happy about that purchase. And so, what exactly would you say about this project, and what would you tell the audience about Pack as an artist?
So look, there are a couple artists that I think it is safe to say you can trust to focus on creating value for their collectors. Now, I don't agree with everything that PAC has done over the past several months, because I think that and I'll say it, I think that after the big drop back in April, all the focus was on the cubes and not a lot of focus on some of the older pieces that had been put out. And so look, here's an anonymous artist or team of artists, who knows? I am certainly not privy to this, but it is an entity that has built up trust. But it would have been very easy to assign a higher hash value to certain, it would have made it more interesting to assign a higher hash value to some of the more limited pieces from pre-April. But fair is fair, because those are already worth a lot. So maybe you don't have to accrue value to pieces that have already seen massive, 10, 50, 100x spikes. That's okay. But when the drop for cubes happened, everything did well if you bought the first day. Never dropped below mid price. But it kind of stagnated. People were skeptical on Ash, and no, that was proven out. I mean, Ash got as high, I think, as like $31. Cubes were trading as high as like $20,000. He rewarded his collectors. Who knows if it's a he or a team. They rewarded their collectors. So here you have a drop, which wasn't cheap. The mint was not cheap at all. I think it was 0.32. You got early access if you had Ash, or you had to wait for the public sale, which for a while, despite there being 65,000, didn't look like we'd get there. There's also, more of a game that's going on here, that'll play out over the course of a year. 65,000 pieces. What is that? The floor price now is 0.48. So it's trading up.
But you have to buy 18 of them to get that point.
You got to buy 18 of them, so it's probably even higher. Basically, it is trading more than 50%, above mint. And by the way, shout out to Manifold. They did a drop here that did not have any gas issues, so it can be done. But Manifold, look, the entire team there, and Richard in particular has been a huge help to me as a collector. Cannot say enough positive things about them. Same thing with the Fuck Crystals drop. Not a gas issue, which is something that maybe more people should learn from. And so, look, if you are someone who is coming to the space and you have the choice between spending 1.5 ETH in a gas war to mint a sevens, or you could have bought 3 pages by PAC, I'd tell you to buy 3 pages. Yes, you can't use it, at this moment as your avatar, but
who says, Sven? Who says?
Hey, you know what? You could to each their own. But look, when we talk about collecting, to have an investment that appreciates over time, I feel much more secure in this investment than I do in some of the other projects that have been out there recently, despite the fact that, this had a lot of hype, but it wasn't drumming up hype for the sake of hype. It's not a community that's just, falling all over each other in a Discord. It's just quietly building. And I think everyone that is holding is very excited to see what happens. If these ever do get cheaper than mint, I'll buy more. And I know a lot of other people will too. So, this is how you kind of start to separate the, blue chips gets thrown around a lot in this space, but this is how you separate the blue chips from the, the pump and dump schemes is some of what PAC has done, and some others. I would certainly advise people starting out, get some exposure here. Don't just focus on, avatar after avatar after avatar. Except for noobs. It's not just an avatar.
Of course, you got to speculate on noobs, or just, join the community and be a long-term holder. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, the hype on this drop was because it was a blue chip artist, like a true blue chip artist, right? An artist that's had his own or their own drop with Christie's, or I don't remember if it was Sotheby's or Christie. I think it might have been Sotheby's. And so, this artist was determined to be the next reasonable artist to be auctioned by a major auction house after Beeple. And that holds a piece of of history. The drop was insane, right? The cube drop was completely insane in terms of the structure, the complexity. That in itself was an incredible work of art. The drop mechanism, if you will, the drop structure.
Can we just say one thing though about that auction? I think it was Sotheby's, because I think right, Christie's was Beeple, and then Sotheby's was back. It was a Nifty Gateway auction. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of haters out there about Nifty Gateway back in the spring. You're welcome that you know, Pac let all of us get access to this through Nifty Gateway, because if this was exclusively done through Sotheby's, most people were not going to buy it. So you know, all the people that made, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars did so because of Nifty Gateway. And you know, I think that doesn't get appreciated enough. Like I'm obviously someone who is a big believer in what Nifty's done. But let's talk about Nifty for a second, because you know, the past few weeks, you know, they you know, look, they didn't get their redesign on the site perfect, but it looks a lot better. It's a lot cleaner. There's some extra features that, you know, I've relayed to the team, others have relayed to the team, that they are, you know, continuing to add. And they had their summer slam event, their secondary event, which everyone kind of scoffed at.
Who won that one? Who won the summer slam?
I didn't win. I was up on the leaderboard. I didn't win, but that's okay. I came in seventh, and I got a bunch of nice extra gifts because of that, and some awesome pieces. And Mad Pups, you know, we got another Nest 101 through a little challenge there. You know, got a really awesome piece from Phil Podas. You know, that is really could have been a piece of the pop culture dystopia drop from February, where my famous Rusty avatar came from, which is still, you know, arguably my favorite piece in the space. You know, I got you know, another Too Much Lag piece out of it. It was awesome. But that secondary event that people kind of said, oh, well, it's not the super rare token. And look, it's not. Nifty is owned by Gemini, and Gemini is very likely, if I had to guess, you know, will be a public company one day. You know, not everyone can release a governance token. You know, everyone loved getting airdropped. If you got airdropped the super rare token, loves getting airdrop free money. But you know, Nifty did something that was really you know, awesome for the community. You know, a lot of the folks there, you know, from Duncan and Griffin down to, you know, Tommy, Trey, you know, a lot of people in the community know, you know, put a lot of work into this, and they should be commended for it, because the Nifty secondary market has been red hot. The primary market has been red hot. We had the community drop last night, which, you know what, did incredibly well. You know, we had Megs, Julian, and No all drop, you know, last night, and just so happy for them, because they all came up through the community, and now they're dropping on the platform and doing phenomenally well. And I think the auction, if you go look at the auction right there, I know it was at 17,000 last I looked last night. You know, a couple months ago, if you saw, yeah, so it's still at 17,000, and you know, with that bidding last night, I'm sure, you know, maybe it goes a little higher, but if it doesn't, huge success already. And that's just a beautiful piece, by the way. I mean, he makes me want to go to Joe.
No, he's so dope. He's so awesome. Yeah.
So I think that, you know, yeah, I can just watch this and just feel the peace. But I think that, you know, a couple months ago, you weren't having any auction at 17,000, and now you have, you know, artists who came up through the community having auctions, you know, that are 17,000 with half a day to go. I mean, just a huge success. And, you know, people should start saying more positive things about Nifty again, because everyone in the space owes a lot to Nifty. The explosion in February opened up the floodgates. The auction with Pac in April opened up the floodgates for a lot of people, brought a lot of people in. And it's still the best on-ramp, you know, for people like us who don't have crypto experience, right? You know, we're trying to bring on noobs, and I'm helping people to the best of my abilities. You know, get your friends to download MetaMask, get in Discord, we'll send them a noob. They still need crypto to participate beyond that. You can't even sell your noob without any crypto, right? You have to pay a gas fee to list it, which, you know, I got some questions for OpenSea one day about why I'm paying gas in certain transactions and not others. But I don't want to bash OpenSea, because, you know, I think people know where the issues lie. But, you know, look, Nifty now is opening up to collectibles too. Not every collectible, the ones that, you know, kind of get, you know, curated in, which is what we want. We want to curate in, you know, the right collectibles that will now be able to have people acquire them via credit card. I mean, just think about how many people want a Bored Ape but don't have any crypto. Well, now you can go buy it with a credit card or with a bank deposit through your Gemini account. I think that's, you know, a really cool, innovative thing. So, and I couldn't let this slide because, you know, it's been many months of people saying, oh, why are you still supporting Nifty? You know, look, they're not perfect. And I've told them when there are things that I don't approve of. Nobody in the space is perfect, but they've done a lot to help it grow. And so it's great to see, you know, success there. It's been really, you know, it's been really exciting to watch.
Dude, the secondary market at Nifty Gateway has been like absolutely electric for the key pieces. Like, so the floor on Cube is 14,000. It was like 25,000 a week ago. It's insane. I'm seeing here that Lavish sold today for 1850. I sold a Lavish for 1300 like a week and a half ago. So I feel like an idiot right now. And I was paying attention to Killer Acid. His stuff was just mooning. It looks like Noe's stuff is just absolutely mooning. Shout out to Noe. I know he was watching some of our stuff earlier. I don't know what time it is in Korea right now, but congratulations to him. And, you know, this wouldn't be the case if it wasn't for Nifty Gateway giving him the platform. I mean, this piece is incredibly cool. Wow, I haven't even seen this one yet. But yeah, I mean, Nifty Gateway, you know, it brought you and me into the space. I still own a ton of stuff on Nifty Gateway. I love the stuff that I have on Nifty Gateway. And, you know, the platform isn't going anywhere. They're not perfect, like you said, but efforts are being made. And I'm excited to see what comes next.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that's going to come next. We're very close to phase 2 of Anime. And so I was just seeing it on screen. Lag. Let's pull some too much lag up because you know, I've tried to do my part when things before things move off. I mean, there you go. You see here.
I gotta turn the sound off.
Yeah, we gotta turn the sound off. I mean, last sold for 22 or 2100 or so. You know, and it was still sitting around 800 after it had, you know, popular. I went into the Nifty Discord. Said, look, I'm buying more too much lag. I fully believe in this project. This is basically a collectible project, right? That has just about 1,570 pieces. You know, I think I got 19 or 20 of the animes. I have a number of limiteds and some one-of-ones from Too Much Lag as well. But, you know, it was trading at, you know, $800, $1,000. I mean, if people put that in ETH terms, they're spending more on gas for an unproven project from anonymous developers than they could be getting a project from a blue chip artist like Too Much Lag, who, if you know him, you know how much work Steph puts in, you know what he's building towards. I mean, Will Smith was not going to do a fun little collab with an anonymous artist, but he did one with Too Much Lag, and that was also one of the coolest videos I've ever seen. So, you know, excited to see phase 2. We know it's close. You know, I think sometime this month, phase 2 will release. People kind of slept on this project for a bit because, look, on Nifty, it wasn't set up initially for collectibles. There was the soul that each of these pieces have. They're not, for someone that doesn't know, if you look at these pieces, they look the same. They're actually all unique one-of-ones. They all have different souls that kind of back them up. And so, you know, look, I have some very cool ones. The number 100 soul is probably, I'll challenge anyone in the community to find a better soul than number 100. My 420 is pretty cool. I know a lot of people were bummed that I got that. You know, who wanted it really, not
haters,
but just
haters
really wanted it. You know, my guy Abana has been trying to get it off of me for months, and he's gonna have to try harder. But look, this is an awesome project. It's still, in my opinion, cheap relative to some of the other collectible projects out there. And I think phase 2 will, you know, look, this is not financial advice. Don't be spending $2,000 on an NFT if you can't afford it. Seriously. But when I just compare, this is my view on this project relative to, you know, people paid 1.5 ETH all in, and that's still, the floor is still like 135 on the 7s for something that's unrevealed. Right? That is well more than what these cost right now, and you're getting a Too Much Lag piece. So look, up to you to decide what seems like a better deal. I know where I sit. So look, and you can buy it on Nifty with no gas. I see some people in the chat talking about gas being an impediment. No gas there. So you know, that is something certainly that people should you know, take advantage of if gas is a frustration on them.
Absolutely. And that's a key point people need to bring up, because some people complain about the fees on Nifty Gateway secondary sales, but you have to keep in mind you're not paying any gas fees. So that's definitely, something to keep in mind. But Sven, we've done an hour. This was so awesome, man. Really pumped to hear about Noobs. Everyone, make sure that you follow Sven at Sven_NFT. It's right there on the screen. He posts kick-ass threads about the NFT space and is just a big contributor to the space in general. Check out the Noobs project. Is it noobsnft.com, Sven?
Yeah, you go to noobsnft.com. You can also find Noobs NFT on Twitter. And look, for those that are part of the community, if you haven't yet, go nominate someone for Noob Boosters. If you're not part of the community, look, you don't have to join us. We'd love to have you. But if you buy one noob, then you can go nominate your friends and family to join the community. You will, however, have to help them set up a MetaMask wallet. Look, it's good for all of us. It's the right thing to do for your friends and family. And so I'll just repeat myself before we go. Everyone in the space should be helping people get on, the NFT spectrum somehow, right? And if that is through us or through another vehicle, great. But if you're not doing it, you're not helping the space grow, and you're not helping them, enjoy what we've enjoyed for many months now. So anyway, I appreciate Pio you having me on. It's always fun. We could go for hours, but I know we both got a lot to do today, and I'm just glad to be on, and looking forward to the next time.
Absolutely, man. You're welcome anytime. Everyone follow Sven. Thanks so much, Sven.